Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Saturday after the Tarweeh Salat at Madrasa Nurul Ulum, Gataman, Palanpur, Gujarat, India. The Majlis took place on the 18th of Ramadan, 1447, 7th of March 2026. Our Hazrat Wala starts off the Majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Our Hazrat Wala is saying that Hazrat Allama Ibrahim Balyawi came. He was a ustad who was teaching senior kitabs. And when he comes, he says to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab that give bayan. But I can't tell you with what type of adab, how much of consideration he took at this point in time. Now I'm relating this here to you so you can understand the things of the Buzrugan-e-Deen. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab gave bayan and Allama really liked it. And what was his impression? He said, "Bahut din se khaish thi, aaj suna," that for many days I had this desire and today I heard. Now Allah Ta'ala gave Hazrat Allama a very great and high darja in the silsila. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab even gave him khilafat. Now these things are just like that. When a person annihilates himself and humbles himself completely and totally, he then achieves. And what happens is the heart of the seniors, they then turn their heart to that particular individual. Now Allah Ta'ala give us also that type of enthusiasm, eagerness, quest, desire, talab for deen and talab for our islah. In the khidmat of Hazrat Tanweeh, Hazrat Allama Sulaiman even came. And what was it? He demonstrated his desire and his thirst. Nagar nakhaste dad, nadade khast. If Allah Ta'ala did not want to give you in the first place, agar dena hi na chahte, to talab na dete, then he would have given you that, he would have not given you this type of thirst. Now they were all seniors sitting there. Jamne Sahab was there, Maulana Abdul Halim, whichever other ulama and mashayikh was sitting there. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab pointed out to the youngster and said to them that see how, with what type of humility and earnestness he is making dua. Look at what type of thirst he has. So when a person goes with this type of talab, he then becomes successful. Allah ki riza ki talab paida kare. That a person has this thirst and this desire in his heart that my Allah must get happy. You know, this is such a huge gathering. For me also, this is something which is very good to be with so many talibin. Now, Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, look at his statement there. Gar nakhas te dad, na dad khast. If Allah Ta'ala did not give you, if He did not want to give you anything, He would have not given you thirst in the first place. So therefore also, you should not understand it to be your own kamal, but rather attribute it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah Ta'ala gave me that thirst. Now people went to Hazrat Tanweeh with this type of thirst and they became successful. Now in this regard, there is much ghaflat. We are slacking in this aspect. Some amount of dini work is carrying on. However, this very salient and special thing, this type of restlessness and this type of thirst, desire and quest that leaves a person restless. Now these type of gatherings that I see here, it is the people of Gujarat. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with the ni'mat of His pleasure. Now how will it be? What will it be that we came in the dunya? We achieved everything, but we did not get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, the maqsad for coming in the dunya is actually to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to achieve it. So a person must create this type of talab within himself, otherwise he will be then just sitting in play and amusement. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was the colleague of Hazrat Mufti Shafi Saheb. So there again our Hazrat Wala is saying, Gar nakhast dad nadade khast. If Allah Ta'ala did not want to give you something in the first place, He would not have given you talab. The mere fact that He has given you this type of talab, then it actually means that He wants to give you something. So your coming here also, understand it to be a gift. Now this kitab is in front of me. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to read from the Maktubat-e Masumiya abundantly. Some Buzrugan-e-Din, when people came to them, what did they say? Ittaqullah. And then what did they address the people by saying? Listen, I said to you what I wanted to say to you. There's it, it's done. So our Hazrat Wala is saying this on the note that here, in this particular maktub and letter, it is to the king of the time, Hazrat Aurangzeb, Alamgir, rahimahullah ta'ala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. After praise to Allah and salutations to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Sayyidina Muaz ibn Jabal radiyallahu ta'ala relates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam grabbed my hand and he walked with me for some distance. And then he said, O Muaz, I advise you what taqwallah, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, honesty in speech, fulfilling your promise, and this amanat and trust that has been given to you, that you look after it, to abandon deception, to have mercy on the orphans, to look after your neighbors, to suppress your anger, to be soft in speech, to make salam common, and to stick to the imam, and to get understanding of the Quran, to have love for the akhirat, to have fear of hisab. And I advise you to have good deeds. I prohibit you and prevent you from this, that you harm any Muslim, or that you verify any liar, or you belie any truthful person, or you are disobedient to the just Imam and leader of the Muslims, or you take a portion in causing mischief on earth. O Muaz, carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala near to any tree or boulder. Make tawbah from every sin. The hidden sins, then do the tawbah in that way. And the public sins, then do the tawbah in that way respectively. So dhikr, the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it reminds me of a waqia our Hazrat Wala is saying that back in the day, we went with Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb to Gorakhpur. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was going to go to town and go and give his majlis, conduct his discourse in the masjid. he said to myself and to Kari Mubin Saab that you people see there's so many trees here. Go and sit under every tree here and carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now just look at that. He didn't tell them, go to every tree and eat from its fruit. Now look at how much importance attached to dhikrullah. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abundantly so that you may be successful. On one occasion, Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said to us that I am going to take your exam. We all got to our kitabs and started learning. Now, he was between the khanqa and the masjid and his house, the madrasa. And in all this times, he's seen us so dedicated, we actually got happy that Hazrat will be so happy that we're studying. No, but to our surprise, after some few hours, he came to us and he said that I was watching you people very carefully. But in all this time, no one took out their tasbih and carried out the dhikr of Allah. No one carried out even 2 rakats of salat. So the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should carry it out and we should do it with wajd and passionately, that it has an effect. Now look at this hadith of Sayyidina Mu'adh radiyallahu ta'ala an. No type of wazaif and practices, customs, any readings are not mentioned here. Our awrad. Rather, what's mentioned in this hadith, it is akhlaq. You know, some people would write a letter to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. And then after reading about their letter and what wazaif and awrad and what are they reading, etc., he would write there at the bottom of the letter that akhlaq ka kya hal hai? Okay, you said this, fine, it's in its place, but tell me what's the condition of your akhlaq? Tasawwuf is the name of akhlaq. So कामयाबी तो काम से होगी, न के हुस्न कलाम से होगी, जिक्र के इल्तिज़ाम से होगी, फिक्र के ihtimam से होगी. Success will come about when you do something, not just with flowery talks. It will come about when you are persistent with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and when you have concern for your islah. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab was leaving to go for Hajj. Now that came about that who will now start teaching Bukhari Sharif. He said to me that I am going to perform Hajj, you will teach Bukhari Sharif. Now he gave me ijazat also of hadith and with some much shan. He gave me this ijazat. And now we need to think, who are we connected to? Who are we connected to? That personality, and should not we not keep all those things that he passed on to us alive? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us well established on the deen. Now look at Hazrat Mujaddid Al-Faythani, a man of that capacity and so great. He went to Hazrat Khaja Baqi Billah, whereas Hazrat Khaja Baqi Billah was not even an alim. And look at Maulana Gangohi. People didn't understand anyone to be a greater alim than him in that time. Then too, he went for his Islah to Makkah Mukarramah to go and sit in the company of Hazrat Haji Imdadullah. Now Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making qadr. And we should not separate ourselves from the silsila. You know, once a week, we had to give ittira, inform Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab of our ahwal. Now, when a person does this, it is then that his islah will take place. Now, more than the zahir, we should pay attention to the batin, the internal aspect. Allah Ta'ala rectify our internal. So this nisbat, the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is the greatest ni'mat and dawlat. Allah ta'ala give us the tawfiq and hidayat of making amal. Now, the madrasa is continuing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it. Allahumma aati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن وبارك لنا في أسماعنا وأبصارنا وقلوبنا وأزواجنا وذرياتنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.